our second lesson today is on lesson 6.5, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines are lines that lie in the same plane and never intersect. Lines in the same plane and never intersect. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form right angles. I put an example in your notes. You'll see that very clearly the red and the blue line are parallel to each other. They have the same slope, and they have different y-intercepts. Whereas the purple line is perpendicular, it has the inverse or opposite reciprocal. So let's go to that. So slopes of parallel lines, non-vertical lines are parallel if they have the same slope and a different y-intercept. Any two vertical lines are parallel, and that's because they don't cross the y-axis unless it is the y-axis, right? Slopes of perpendicular lines, the book definition of a perpendicular line says that the slopes, the product of the slopes are -1. That's kind of confusing, but this is what I want you to think about. If you have a line that has a slope of 2/5, the definition that I like to use is that their slopes are opposite reciprocals. What does that mean? So a perpendicular line would have a slope of opposite. Well, if this is positive, the opposite would be negative. Reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/5 is 5/2. So slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other for perpendicular lines. All right. Determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, the first thing that I want you to think about is if I'm trying to decide if lines are parallel or perpendicular, I need to know what their slope is, and I need to know what the intercept is. So I might as well solve for y, or put it in the form y equals mx plus b. So when I look at this first equation, y equals 1/4 x plus 3, it's already in that format. I can see that my slope is 1/4 and my y-intercept is 3. All right? When I look at this second equation, I see very clearly that I have to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And when I do that, I find out that y equals -4x plus 9. So the slope of this line is -4, and the y-intercept is 9. Going on to the third equation, I have to add 4x to both sides. So when I do that, I have 3y equals 4x plus 6. Divide every stinking term by 3. Y equals 4/3 x plus 2. So looking at this equation, my slope is 4/3, and my y-intercept is 2. Okay? The last equation, this is a little messy. Is there a number that I can multiply everything by and get rid of those fractions? Yeah, I could. I could multiply everything by 12. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so that becomes -1x plus 4y equals 144. So when I divide both sides, or sorry, I'm going to add x to both sides, add x. So I have 4y equals x plus 144. Divide every stinking term. Y equals 1/4 x plus 36. So here my slope is 1/4 and my intercept is 36. Now the question is to determine what lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I need to look at their slope and their intercepts. So let's identify some parallel lines. Well, I know that parallel lines have the same slope. So I know that lines 1 and 4 have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So the first line is parallel, that's the symbol for parallel, to the fourth line. Okay? What about perpendicular? I know that if they're perpendicular, their slopes are the opposite reciprocals, 1/4 and -4/1. Well, that looks like opposite reciprocal. So I know that the first line is perpendicular to the second. And I also see that the fourth line is perpendicular to the second. And the third line is neither. All right. This example asks me to do two things. First, I need to find the slope of a line that's parallel to this equation. I also need to find the slope of a line that would be perpendicular to this equation. So again, I need to set both of these up as y equals mx plus b. Well, thankfully, this equation is already set up for us. So a line that would be parallel to this has a slope of exactly the same, 7/2. So that's the parallel line. The perpendicular line would have a slope of the inverse reciprocal or opposite reciprocal, -2/7. -2/7. Here I need to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. I have -5y equals -4x plus 12. Then I'm going to divide every stinking term by -5. So y equals 4/5 x minus 12/5. So here, the slope of a line that's parallel is going to be the same, 4/5. The slope of the line that's perpendicular, -5/4. Okay, almost finished. Lastly, I need to write an equation for a line that's parallel to the given line and passes through the given point. And then I need to write an equation that's perpendicular. So again, we're talking about slopes. So parallel slope has a slope of 3. The perpendicular slope needs to be -1/3. So I need to write equations to the lines that pass through this point and has this slope, point slope. Let's see. Hey, how about if we use point slope form? Y minus 4 equals parallel 3 times the quantity x minus 6. This is the equation of a line that's parallel. And then y minus 4 equals -1/3 times the quantity x minus 6 is the equation of the line that would be perpendicular. Okay? Last example. Same exact thing. Slope of the parallel is -5. Slope of the perpendicular is 1/5. The opposite reciprocal. So I'm still going to use point slope form. Y minus 5 equals -5 times the quantity x plus 5. This is the parallel line. And then y minus 5 equals 1/5 x times the quantity x plus 5. This is the perpendicular line. And that's it.